There it is, but it's not in present mode. Well, at least you can see it. So we're going to move into our, yeah, it looks like, see, I'm sharing my screen here and moving on, but you are not getting it on. There we go. So we chatted in, what did you do for your body this month? And I'll have Tyecia go over the goals of this webinar, and then we will introduce ourselves as trainers and dive right into our content today. So Ty, you want to take us through the goals?
Absolutely. Good afternoon again, everyone. My name is Tyecia. So today we have 3 goals that we're trying to get to today. We want to review the links between stress and health, okay? So we're going to give you that background information, the science behind it, and let you know that, hey, we all go through this. The second thing that we want to do is we want to engage you in a menu of immune boosting and stress management tools. I saw someone put in there like, hey, this is new for me doing, teaching online. So I want to engage you and teach you some of the strategies that we've learned along the way. So that's number 2. And the third thing, we're going to discuss school-based wellness committees at our different charter schools, our DC charter schools. And that's where Maria is going to come in and talk to you a little bit about what they're doing in their school. And hopefully we can all share some information about what's working and what we're seeing. So with that being said, Susan, I think we're going to head into introductions.
Yes, I'm a little bit delayed, so I'm advancing slides that you all aren't seeing. But Maria-José, let's take you off of mute and have you introduce yourself. And in a minute, I guess this slide will pop up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Buenas tardes. My name is Maria-José Carrasco, and I'm the Chief of Staff at Latin American Montessori Bilingual at LAMB. I come to LAMB after a 16-year career in the mental health field, working on multicultural mental health issues at NAMI. And LAMB is very dear to my heart because I have 2 kids that attend this school, and I was happy to be able to join them and now contribute even more.
Awesome. And well, I've advanced the slide. Eventually this will come forward. I'm Susan Comfort. I've spent the last 25 years in the nonprofit sector, including with Playworks DC, which is where I overlap with the school and especially elementary school community. When I founded Nonprofit Wellness and Comfort Consulting 2 years ago, I wanted to focus on burnout prevention in nonprofits and schools where I had seen the most of it and where we have the least care. So I really push team care over self-care because I think we're terrible at taking care of ourselves. But of course, we need the roots of self-care in order to build these systems where we can have cultures of team care, teamwork, and greater, of course, productivity and joy. So I'll talk a little bit more about my maybe background or burnout a little bit later, but I'll pass it on to Tyecia. Let's see if I can stop my camera.
Good afternoon again. So my name is Tyecia Powell. A lot of people call me Ty. I'm a former educator. I've taught in DC, Baltimore, Georgia. 15 years I've been in education. I'm a former instructional coach. Currently, I am working as the director or CEO of Bikram Yoga Works. I'm also a doctorate candidate. I'm super passionate about the work that we're doing here. It bridges the 2 things that I love, wellness and the school system. And one of my big focuses is on talking to the leaders and creating whole leaders in a wellness perspective, making sure the leaders are well. We focus so much on the students and their mindfulness and how they're doing, but sometimes we forget to check in on ourselves. And that's pretty much my story. Been in the education system for 15 years. Sometimes we don't pay attention to the little things that trigger us or impact us during the day, during the school year. We put our cape on and we go back out there for our students, right? And so I was that person that every day I put my cape on and I showed up for my kids. The thing that I did not realize is that I couldn't effectively do my job because I wasn't well. I got caught up in DC in a happy hour culture. I stopped working out. I stopped putting the right things in my body. And I literally burned. Very similar to our picture here of the California wildfires. I burned completely out to the point where I was super unhealthy, and it was daunting to pull myself to get up every day, even though I love my kids and I love what I did. But that was something personal going on to me. The thing that I did eventually realize is I went back to my roots, and I understood that I can have a rebirth. I can recharge myself. There are things that I can do to bring the joy for me and to pick myself back up. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how, plenty of teachers, and you're not alone in this, plenty of educators, plenty of leaders go through this burnout cycle, sometimes several times throughout the year. It's a burnout or recharge. I know, especially after spring break, summer break, it's like, I'm ready, I'm ready to do this. And then it fizzles again. Okay. So we want to talk about how you sustain that and where we're going to go from that. So Susan really loves memes, right? And I love this particular one that she put out. It shows the burnout recharge cycle in a funnier way. Oftentimes, this is what burnout looks like for us. All of these things going on in the schools, and especially now in COVID-19, no building, no in-person meeting. I'm quarantined, yet there's more work than ever, right? And then some of us are recharging through wine, through pleasure principles, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So finding those ways to recharge, and that's what we're going to talk about more today. So with that being said, I want to move on here a little bit with Susan, where she's going to give us those definitions and really dive into that stress management in our body.
Cool. Yep. And so my microphone's back on. Just wanted to highlight Brené Brown's amazing work on vulnerability and how it's really the flip side to courage. And Tyecia and I do, again, a lot of work thinking about leaders and how leaders have to make themselves vulnerable in order to create a culture where people feel that they're safe, making their own wellness a priority or admitting what's going on with their bodies in some safe way, but also to be respected enough that we're investing in our teacher population, that we're investing in their mental and physical well-being so that they can return to work in August or July even or sooner, recharged, ready for a COVID reality, ready for stressed out and socially, emotionally sort of maladjusted children, ready for parents who are very empathetic now to the realm of teachers, but still very stressed out themselves. We've got to invest more in teachers in this new reality. So I like to just define burnout, and we'll do a quick poll for all of you. Burnout was recently redefined by the World Health Organization as an occupational phenomenon. That means it's not a disease, even though it has a code. You can't get prescribed or reimbursed for it on your healthcare plan, especially since the American Psychiatric Association, the DSM, does not list burnout as a condition. But internationally, we do. And this is, I put the symptoms up here of sort of the official, again, occupational, meaning job-related symptoms of burnout are energy depletion or exhaustion, those feelings of negativity or cynicism related to your job. Again, not the world. We're all feeling negativity and cynicism about the world, but this is specific to your job. And then reduced professional efficacy. You're just not as effective as you used to be. So maybe you're burned out. Maybe you're close to burnout. Maybe you've been through burnout and you're on the other side. We're going to put up a poll now. Thanks, Nicole at DCPSB. We're going to put up a poll, and hopefully this will work on the webinar, where you can judge what you are on a scale of 1 to 4. See the results of the poll. Now, I can't see it. Can you all see it? No poll.
It's not coming up. Oh, there it is.
There's a poll. So go ahead and take the poll. I can't vote because hosts and panelists can't vote. I don't know if I'll be able to see the results. This is an interactivity tool. So do you see any poll? Or Simmons as our poll translator?
I am not seeing any results.
The birds are tweeting the results behind you.
Yes, they are. They are.
All right, we'll take the poll, everybody. Hopefully we'll get set. Everything on Zoom is slow today, so maybe we'll get the results of the poll by the end of the workshop. But that is your interactive tool for today. And we want you to also reflect as you're polling yourself. Again, there's some results.
Oh, yeah,
62% are energized about their job but need to improve their health. Well, that's an astounding majority. And you're in the right place, because by the time this hour is finished, you'll have lots of suggestions and solutions for both stress management as well as physical self-care. So 14% of us are close to job burnout, 19% in the early stages, and then only 5% in top physical and mental health with love for their job. So we like to talk about the whys and the barriers in terms of both the positive and negative framing. And Tyecia loves to talk about Simon Sinek and starting with why. But we want you to think about in this sort of frame for wellness and your stronger physical and mental health, because they're linked. What is your barrier to getting stronger, right? And then what, and this is personal, you can share it if you want, but it's personal. And what is your why? Why do you want stronger health? Why do you want stronger physical or mental resilience? So jot that down for yourself, because it's almost like a North Star. And the barrier is almost like, hey, that's something to be overcome. Barriers are just there as challenges, but we can overcome them, especially when we figure out systems of team care and not just self-care. Like a lot of us want stronger health, but we don't have the systems in place to make it happen. So moving on, I want to talk about stress just as a framework before we dive into some solutions. And of course, with the teacher population, when we talked to Maria-JOSÉ Carrasco at LAMB about anxiety and depression and stress in the teacher population in the real world, it's an even deeper layer of stress than most of us experience. But in the terms of the general adult US population, 100% of us experience stress. It's our way of keeping ourselves alive. And then anxiety and depression are also normal human emotions, especially these days, and especially in the last 3 years in DC, for example. But 30 to 60% of us experience anxiety or depression as normal human emotions. And then about 15% of US adults are actually diagnosed with anxiety or depression and requiring a pharmaceutical or a therapeutic intervention. But what we talk about in our trainings at Nonprofit Wellness is that social stress solutions help the most, and they're free and they're non-therapeutic and non-medical. And we just have to understand our central nervous system a little better to know what works best for us, to be self-aware in order to regulate our own emotions and stress. And so stress, of course, happens to us all. It's just that we are in charge of how we react. This guy, I like to put him in my slides, not only because he's an important guy and knows how to take breaks and blow off some steam, but because he's scrimmaging my favorite team that I used to be a statistician for back in college. And if you chat in the chat box who that team is, you get special brownie points. But like President Obama, a fantastic president, he knew how to complete his stress cycle. So when you're stressed out, your cortisol, thank you, Simmons, for telling us the nickname of the team. There's still room to say what the team is. When your cortisol goes up, which is a stress hormone that we can identify easily in saliva, so we've tested it a lot, then you've got to complete the stress cycle and bring the cortisol back down. So when our cortisol goes up and down, that's normal. So let's learn how to bring it back down, how to come back into our safe and social mode. When our cortisol is elevated or depressed all the time, then we have greater health problems. And then, of course, some folks are more stressed than others because of identity or circumstance factors in their lives. And we developed a stressor scorecard to talk about that. So we really want to get to solutions, so I'm not going to focus too much on the types of stress today, but I'll just whiz through this slide. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about the 3 types of stress, being physical stress, what happens literally to your body, chemical stress, what's going on inside, the balance of the chemicals in your body and nutrition, and then emotional stress, which is actually what causes 70 to 80% of our health problems. And so this is where, the fear and shame that Brené Brown writes about, the financial and traumatic and other kinds of tragedies that we're experiencing on a societal level and a family level and a personal level right now, all this emotional stress can be balanced out by, different kinds of interventions. Stress reduction, just getting more stressors out of our lives, which is sometimes impossible. Talk therapy, physical tapping, meditation and mindfulness, and then these community and social solutions, which actually acts on our vagus nerve, which is a bigger part of our nervous system than we ever thought before. So again, just as a quick central nervous system overview, the 3 modes of the nervous system, and we find ourselves really in the middle a lot more these days: safe and social, fight and flight, and then freeze. And the polyvagal theory, which is really important in education, shows us that in order for kids to learn, or for adults to plan, or for any kind of human to be calm, we've got to be in this safe and social mode, this rest and digest mode. And our personal prescription is figuring out how to get ourselves back in that place when we experience life's inevitable fight or flight moments, right? So I could go on for literally hours about this, but I won't, because I want you all to experience some of it in your bodies now. And then we're going to dive in with Maria-José talking about her own experience gaining some skill around mindfulness, an important skill, especially in education and especially these days. And then Tyecia will go through some more immune boosting and stress management solutions. But just for now, one really important thing that you can do all the time, and we're going to just do it mindfully now, is breathing. So close your eyes. We're going to do an exercise called box breathing, where you're just equalizing the inhale, and then the hold at the top of the breath, and then the exhale, and then the pause at the bottom of the breath. So by breathing, just go ahead and breathe and hold it at the top and the bottom. You might count 4 counts. And by equalizing and thinking about these 4 counts or 4 seconds, you make a box, right? Because it's equal sides. But you're also speaking the language. You're training yourself in the language of your nervous system. So 1, 2, 3, 4, taking that time to pause and noticing your breath, but counting, because it gives your brain a job. And then you start over again. So you can be mindful and breathe while you're doing other things, while you're listening to me talk. You can do it while you're walking or cooking or thinking or working. Mindfulness is what Maria-José will talk about in terms of retraining your brain. But as far as your central nervous system and how you get into that safe and social rest and digest green spot on the ladder, you've got to speak the language of your nervous system. It doesn't speak English, no habla español. It speaks breath. And the more you train your body how to respond to breathing and to certain breathing exercises, also called pranayama, the more tools you'll have in your toolbox. So hopefully you experience that 4 count, inhale, hold, exhale, hold, box breathing yourself. You're training your brain to have more positive experiences with breathing, to have more gratitude and presence. And Dr. Rick Hansen says that's one of the most important things we can do to retrain our brains. So I'm going to stop sharing here so that we can turn the screen over to Maria-José and talk a little bit about personal experience, Maria-José, with your mindfulness practice and headspace meditation and other kinds of work that you've done. So please take it away, Maria-José, and talk to us about your experiences.
Sure. So as I mentioned at the beginning, my previous career was in mental health. So I worked a lot around issues about depression, anxiety, just overall well-being. Ironically, that really burned me out. And that's how I have a new career now that I'm really enjoying. But I'm sharing that because during my entire career, mental health is quite a stressful field, believe it or not. Many different times I tried to meditate. I've heard so many times, there's so much research, there's so many articles about the benefits of mindfulness and meditation. So I gave it a try a lot of times. And every time what happened to me was that what I understood meditation is to make sure that my mind had to just erase my thoughts and my emotions and just to be completely blank in a way, right? So I would sit there, I'll go to sessions in person, I'll do it online, different things. And every time I'll get very frustrated because I could not stop all the thoughts, all of the feelings. And as I sat there, I got more frustrated, and it really never went anywhere. So fast forward to now, Susan introduced us at LAMB this application called Headspace, which happens to be free for schools. So we were going to promote this with our staff. So I thought, you know, I should check it out first. I should see if it works or not. I should be able to talk about how good or how bad I think this is. So that's how I got started. It wasn't really that I was looking to do a lot of self-improvement or to do something for myself. It was, let me do this because I need to be able to convince my folks that this is useful and that they should use it. I started using Headspace on January 5th. By now, I have gone 105 days straight meditating. So to me, that's really amazing. And I really want to encourage you, like one of the take-home messages for me today is like for you, be like, just try it. You know, if you are like me, you go into this already having done it before and failing, or just not convinced this is going to be for you, I'm telling you, just give it a try. What I love about Headspace in particular is that it's an app that really helps you understand and build the practice. When I started with sessions that were 2 minutes long. Then I did 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Now I do 20. So it helps you build up the amount of time that you meditate. And you can do as much or as little as you want. So I really like that. I also really like that it has different courses you can take to really learn different practices and different skills that can help you with your meditation practice. And if you are like me, and you like some, like I'm a very visual person, so the app also has videos to really explain in a graphic way what you should be doing and how things should work. So finally something clicked with me and this app. And I realized that mindfulness is not about having not thinking or not feeling for whatever amount of time I'm trying to meditate. Meditation and mindfulness is about just sitting and being present in the moment. So it's the ability in whatever you do, even right now, as I speak to you, like what I try to do throughout the day is to put the intention to be fully present in whatever I'm doing. Right now, my intention was to be fully present in this webinar. It could be that I make that intention when I'm washing the dishes, when I'm doing some work, when I'm playing with my kids. But it's really trying to concentrate and put all of my focus in one thing. Believe it or not, that gives you a lot of clarity and just makes you enjoy things. And it just helps me quite a lot. So mindfulness for me, it's about being at the moment, recognizing that there's many thoughts and feelings that come and go. Even while I'm talking to you, there's other things coming to my mind. And just noting, oh, I'm thinking that, letting that thought pass and continue focus on whatever I am doing. So mindfulness is about being mindful, being in the moment, recognizing the thoughts and feelings that arise. A lot of times it's not engaging with those feelings or those thoughts, but just recognizing that they are there. And what this gives me is a lot of clarity, which has been particularly important during these times. I started this, as I told you, just because I wanted to be able to talk to my colleagues about what it was. But it has really been a lifesaver given the circumstances, the times that we're living. Every day I make time to just have some time where I can just let my mind be at ease. And that really just gives me a lot of peace and a sense of clarity. And if I feel anxious, it helps me a lot. Work on the anxiety I may be feeling. So I cannot tell you enough how helpful it is for a stressful situation. I know working at a school has a lot of stressors. it's something that can really help all of us. And the best part, as I said, about this app in particular is that it's free. So I invite you to check it out, to try it. It tracks the amount of hours or minutes that you're meditating, how you're doing. It has different sessions on all types of things: how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with anger, how to be a happier person, or just how to be at ease with yourself. So now it helps me so much that I started doing it with my children. Last night, to give you an idea, we did a 3-minute meditation with them on feeling thankful. You know, right now it's a hard time for kids too, so it was good for them to just think about what are they thankful, even though there's a lot of things that they don't currently like about our situation right now. So,
that was like the best testimonial for Headspace ever. I also wanted to mention that they do provide it in multiple languages, and I don't know if you do it in Spanish or English, Maria-José, but that's one of the reasons that we were excited to promote it with LAMB and DCI and some of our multilingual schools, because they are offering it in Spanish and I think German and a few other languages. So let's move on to Tyecia, but we wanted to hear from everyone what your schools are doing to support your mental or physical health. So if you can, and this is a really valuable part of these meetings and webinars, is sharing what goes on at different schools. And we have about 10 minutes on our schedule at the end of this webinar for Maria-José to tell you more about LAMB and what we've been doing with the morale and wellness group and the ELD staff, Extended Learning Day staff this year. So thank you, Deirdre, for chiming in. And if anyone wants to show either the panelists or all panelists and attendees, someone chatted in about doing check-ins with immediate supervisors and during, talking about how they're coping and what they're grateful for during check-ins, which is a fantastic practice. So what is your school doing to support your mental or physical health? Go ahead and chat that into the chat box. I can also say that DC International is doing a month of May wellness and mental health with weekly Thursday family yoga classes and Friday fit classes with online trainers that are experienced doing both online and family-friendly stuff. So that's a physical strategy, and they're pairing with some mental health webinars, including one with Maria-José in a few weeks on mindfulness, since she's such a great promoter of mindfulness and her story. So if you're chatting in the chat box, just if you can share it with all attendees, that's great. But if you want to keep it confidential, I understand. So yeah, folks are talking about urging staff to take a walk at least once daily. Simmons is showing some leadership by being out on her porch today. I might go out there soon. So keep chatting in the things you're doing while I get my screen shared here. And Tyecia, we want you to take it away with some of our solutions.
So Maria, thank you so much for sharing. You mentioned something that, you mentioned the word intentions. And that's what I think about when I think about mindfulness. Intentions are important. And for me during this time, my intention is to reset, rehabilitate, and come back stronger. And that's where my focus has been. How do I take this current situation, reset, control what I can't control, and start changing or implementing things or strategies in my life that I can take back to the schools and different things that in my workplace when I get there. So one of the ways is immune boosting. Okay, just as important as what we do physically with our body, it's also important of what we're putting in our bodies. Yes, sorry. It's also super and talking about what we're putting into our bodies as well too. Sorry, I wanted to move closer so you can hear me. So what are you doing for your body to build your immune system? It's also going to play a role in your mental health and your physical health. So Susan and I have come up with, I think it's, 15, I want to say now?
15
immune boosters now. And a couple of them we've already discussed. When's the last time you've gotten outside? When's the last time you worked out? And work out can also be a dance or movement. When the last time you got movement? Or what about that laughter factor? Have you gotten in a good hearty laugh, whether it's from your kids sitting and laughing with them, or looking at something online that helps get that laugh in? What about the good sleep? I know our schedules are a little off or a little wonky right now. Are you getting that good sleep or getting that rest or taking that rest when needed? Okay. So this is a list of 15. I believe Susan will share this, or you'll get this a little bit later. Is the rest of the 15. One of my favorite is number 11. My dogs are enjoying the extra long walks and the multiple walks now that I'm home. But it also gives me a time to get outdoors, get a walk in for myself, get breathing in, and just calm, listening to the birds as Simmons is doing, or just being free from my device and different things like that. And you can do that any time of the day. You can actually do it in the rain. I actually love doing it in the rain. I like taking walks in the rain as well too. It's kind of cathartic. No one can tell if you're crying, sweating, or just rain on you as well too. I saw a couple people talk about essential oils as well. But again, these are 15 of our immune boosting tips. And again, remember that what you're putting into your body, what you're fueling your body with, also impacts your mental and your physical. I want to move on to a few other strategies of the physical, some stress solutions, and then into the physical aspect. So some of the stress solutions, can you go back one slide, Susan? I think it has a mind of its own right now. Some of the stress solutions that we have right here, we'll talk about a little bit later in the stressor scorecard that you just saw. But how are you utilizing some of these things right here? And we talked about this in the immune boosting, but these are ways to also help you reduce stress. So for those of you that are sitting in Zoom meetings, teaching in Zoom meetings, feeling that stress and different things like that, how are you addressing it, as Marie talked about? How are you addressing it? Maybe it's through meditation. Maybe it's through an art project at the end of the day. Maybe it's through, planning something. Are you planning things for later on, whether it's planning vacation for post-COVID, or just planning something with your family, planning your next meal, planning an activity with your family or your kids. We talked about animal love, or just listening and playing your music. Sometimes it's cleansing, and it helps relieve stress just to sit back and listen to some of your favorite music as well too. So these are some of the strategies that I wanted to put out there that you could do to help relieve stress as well too. And so this is something that I still use personally. Susan introduced this to me a while ago, but it's my personal stress prescription, right? So I look at this list and I talk and I check in with myself. How do I need to increase these areas, or what areas am I lacking in? Right now, no lack in friendships. I'm talking to more friends than I've ever talked to before, because I have the ability to sit still and actually speak with them. Areas that I am working on is, how am I showing more gratitude? I'm in a house with, three people and a kid. Sometimes we just get moving in our day, but I need to stop more. Can I stop more and just show gratitude? Thank you for fixing lunch. Thank you for putting those dishes away. So showing gratitude. And by checking in with myself and seeing where I can increase or maybe even decrease some areas. When you talk about pleasure principles, look, some things can bring us pleasure, but doing anything too much can also be harmful. So if you're somebody that does a lot on your screen, like, hey, where some of the memes on Facebook and Instagram can bring us pleasure, bring us laughter, but am I dedicating a certain amount of time? Not sitting on this for hours on hours on end. For me, Susan laughs at me all the time because I say it's my bathroom time. Sitting on Instagram or social media is my bathroom time. So I leave it to that amount of time that I'm sitting in the bathroom, and then I get rid of it, right? So I'm not inundating myself with it. So again, thinking about your personal stress prescription, making sure you're checking in with yourself and saying, hey, how can I increase in certain areas of my life, those areas that bring me joy, and being mindful of those things in your day-to-day. The next thing I want to talk about, and again, I think Susan's moving slide, is the magic potion. so when it comes to health and well-being, regular exercise is about as close to the magic potion as we can get. I am going to push, promote physical wellness as well too. Physical wellness doesn't mean I have to get in a kickboxing class or I have to, do 1,000,000 push-ups a day or anything like that. Walking is that physical movement. It get the heart rate going. It circulates the blood. Get moving, everybody. And this is the best time to do it. It is so many free people offering their workouts for free right now. It's like, oh my gosh, for someone like me who loves working out, like it is like a playground, a play place for me, like a adult play place. All of these workouts that are free. And I'm learning new things for myself, things that I can take that you can also take it to the classroom. Your kids need a movement break. Hey, I learned how to do this high knee thing, that I'm going to get them to get their legs moving from sitting all day. So make sure you're moving on a regular basis. For those of you, again, that are sitting a lot, stand up from your computer. It's okay to take that Zoom meeting and still be in your Zoom meeting and hit a squat, like do a couple squats while you're sitting there. If I could tell you how many meetings I've taken while I'm doing exercises, that's fine. Sometimes with the camera on, sometimes with the camera off. Hopefully with the camera on is going to help engage my team. Like, hey, get up, move around. You don't have to sit in this chair 24/7. I can still get done what I need to get done, even by moving. And even like Susan said, just getting my breathing in as well too. We talked a little bit about pleasure principles. Please do everything in moderation. Please do everything in moderation, especially in this time, this COVID time. I tell people, we're not the type of people that sit in there saying, don't drink alcohol, don't do this, everything in moderation, because it can also be distracting, addictive, and toxic to your body right now. So just monitor what you're putting in your body, what you're feeding your body, from your screen time to the news, to your eating and different things like that. I also want to encourage you, if you're that type of person that fixed your lunch and took it to work, to do those things as well too, to make sure that you're eating on a regular basis and not just hunting for snacks and food during the course of the day. Actually prepare your meals or prep your meals so that you're putting good things into your body. The last couple of strategies, and I'm sorry I'm moving a little fast, so just, type in questions, we will address them. The last thing I want to talk to you about is a little thing another strategy that we use, and this is good for your teams, to do with your teams, is quick break bingo. This is a great tool for you to use with your teams. Again, you can pick and choose different things that you can do during the course of the day to make sure that you are designing and being strategic about the breaks that you're taking. And it's good to see who's doing it. You can hold each other accountable to doing stuff like this. So this is a great tool that, again, it helps keep you accountable with your team. And it's just fun. Maybe some of the leaders can offer prizes for the person that get bingo. Maybe you can make it a challenge where they're taking pictures and you're sending those pictures to each other. It's always cool to see funny pictures of people doing, some different things. When the last time you picked up a jump rope, go and dig through your kids', toy box and find a jump rope. But these are great tools and things that I like to do with my team and in the house with my roommates to get us moving and to make sure we're taking breaks. So with that, I want to move on to a little bit more from Maria, where she's going to talk a little bit about what they're doing at her school at LAMB with their team care.
Sure. So I started working at LAMB last February, actually 11th of February of 2019. And the same day that I started our new executive director, Dr. Carrie Sharp. And this was a transformative time for us. Like if you know us, we have been around for quite some time. We are a Montessori bilingual school. We are an awesome school, an awesome community. And we went through a great crisis a few years ago, a crisis that really destabilized us, that created trauma in our community, and just put us in a bad place for a while. For quite some time, the school had no leadership. We had an interim executive director. The board was more engaged. But finally, last February, the February of last year, we had a new leader. And Carrie's immediately came on board. And one of her focuses was to really understand where we were as a school. So she started in February. By March, she already did a climate survey. This survey went out to everybody, all their students, families, and to staff. And the goal was really to understand how we were doing in different important areas. Morale, communication, all different areas. In addition to doing this survey, she held a number of listening sessions, small groups, so that she could hear direct feedback, again, from students, from families, and from the staff. No surprisingly, the community responded in great numbers and was very honest. And they identified that there were many areas where we needed to improve. There were many opportunities for growth for us. And one of those areas was around staff morale. So one of the things that Carrie's did was to decide to make improving staff morale one of our priorities. Of course, when you talk about staff morale, there's many different areas that are part of that, right? We can talk about improving communication, improving ownership, improving many things. But because of the purpose and the focus of this webinar, I'm going to talk about the piece that involves wellness. One of the areas that we wanted to do was improve, basically do a better job supporting wellness for our staff. We know, anyone that works in schools, we have stressful jobs. We have wonderful jobs, but it can be quite stressful to do this job. So to improve morale, to improve wellness, what we did was create a task force. We invited all members of the staff to join this task force. We were lucky enough that we have 3 different buildings, people from all buildings joined, people from different teams, so some teachers, some after school, some administrators. So we had a group, a good number and a good group that met to help us move forward on this area. So one of the things that we did then is we contracted with Susan due to her expertise on this area to help us work with the task force and to help us develop a plan to support staff wellness and in that way increase morale, in addition to other things we're doing to increase morale. Susan, one of the first things she did a retreat with the administration team back in October. So I'm sharing there with you the rainbow of stressors that we have. I think your rainbow is probably going to be similar and different at the same time. Of course, this rainbow here is before COVID, before school closure, before online learning. So you can imagine how colorful our current rainbow is right now. But what we did was analyze all of these different stressors and how they show up for us at the school, as employees, as teachers, as administrators. For us, again, I think that many of these are things that we share in common among all charter schools, all schools, but I'll just give you an example of one that's very, very big for us. And that's the fact that, again, we're a bilingual school, we're a Montessori school. So for us, staff retention, particularly teacher retention, is a very big deal. It's hard to find trained Montessori trained bilingual educators. So it's one of the things that takes a lot of our time and effort, and that, to be quite honest, does cause stress among administrators. So part of what helped us, in the middle, if you see all of these stressors that we have, one of the things that allowed us to create the time and the space to focus on how to support our team was that finally we had a full administrative team. We had operated last school year without an executive director for half of that. We operated the entire year without a principal, but we finally started this school year with a new principal. We had Carrie's already have a year with that. We finally had a team that could focus on this more in depth. So what the team decided was, again, yes, we need to make sure morale is one of our priorities, and that we needed to make this something that we did. We committed, not only that we didn't only talk about it, but we committed time, resources, skills, and so forth. So what we have done is the climate task force, the wellness task force with Susan and with me as the staff lead on this, have held different meetings. It's very hard, as you know, to find a good time for everybody to meet. We have teachers that have different schedules that were aftercare staff or our support staff. So what we do, all of our meetings are twice a day so that people can participate in the morning or in the afternoon. And all of our meetings are bilingual. So people come to the meetings whenever they can, but we know that there's many people that cannot participate in person. So we also did a survey, and you see on your screen a screenshot of that survey. We asked many different, we asked people to identify how good we were doing in different areas that support wellness. That is in physical health, mental health, team health, and others. Again, this survey was done in English and in Spanish. The results went to Susan directly. They didn't come to us. And Susan analyzed the results and gave us back a report by theme and by area. So what we did was, there were all types of recommendations and suggestions. They were from little things such as, you know, why doesn't LAMB provide free coffee in all buildings, to more complicated things about that would necessitate structure changes and things like that. But we had comments about during PD days, why don't we get more healthier food? What about if we get breakfast? So we got a lot of different good ideas for all types of things. Easy wins, things that could be as easy as just making an order for coffee for everybody, to things that we know take us quite a while to implement. But then what we did during our PD break in February, a PD week when our students weren't there, we developed an entire week focused on, of course, doing professional development, but from a wellness perspective. So we had, Susan and I led a session on just team building with a wellness focus. During this session, we also were very candid and shared the results of the survey we had done, and shared verbatim some of the comments that we received. After we shared those, Carrie talked about her vision. Our executive director talked about her vision and where we were going to go with those. That was very important with us, because we wanted to be very transparent and to show that things were not going to be business as usual, right? So we read some comments that quite honestly were hard for us to read, because it was accepting how much improvement we needed to do in some areas. But for us and for Carrie's, it was very important that we owned those things, that we brought them up to the open, so that we can come up with a plan together on how to improve from where we were. Again, some changes were immediate and were quite easy, while others we know take us quite a lot of effort and time. But at least now the staff know where we are, where we all think we are, and we're working to improve on that. I think that this focus and this commitment on wellness, staff wellness, really helped us be very, have a good response during this pandemic situation that we are facing. Since the current situation emerged for us, all our planning, all our conversations have always included, how do we make sure we take care of our staff? How do we foster the well-being of our personnel? So I'll share some of the things that we have been doing. Our planning meeting included an hour of mindfulness, right? We have brought someone to do exercises with us to help us be mindful and to help us deal with some of the anxiety we were feeling. We are heavily promoting Headspace. As you heard me, I'm a believer in this app. I think it can help a lot of people. So every time I can, I tell people, have you tried it? And encourage them to do so. We have weekly staff exercise sessions. We have an amazing physical education teacher. Her name is Powell, and she keeps us moving. She sends us, sometimes it's recorded sessions that we can do at our own time. Sometimes she just sends us an invite, and whoever can meet, let's say Tuesdays at 3, just joins and we do Zumba together or we exercise together. These actually have been amazing sessions. I think many of us have found them very, very helpful. We also do online happy hours. This is something that Carrie's has started. We have had a few of them now, and literally it's a happy hour. You see each of us with our drink of choice there, and we just talk. It's not about work, it's not about school, it's not about our kids, it's just about how we are doing and what's going on. Again, all of these activities are bilingual since we have a lot of monolingual colleagues. So we will continue to have happy hours and do all of these things for the rest of the time that we're closed. We have not had wellness task force meetings during the closure. We wanted to get to a place where we feel we're stable and we have our online program running and everything is going okay. We are moving to a point where we will start scheduling these sessions so that we can continue our planning for next year and so that we can give some additional tools for folks. We also have a book club. So there's many other things we do. We have done a book club. And one of the things I do want to share, because this is something I'm very proud of, when the crisis hit, we have a very generous community. Our families and staff have donated over 20,000 by now to support. First, this was to support our Title I families. You know, we knew families were going to lose jobs and incomes, and we wanted to be able to provide weekly support for them to buy groceries and those things. Now we're moving not only to support our students, but also to support our staff. You know, some of our staff have, their loved ones have lost incomes and they need this type of support. So again, these are just some of the things that we're doing to make sure we promote wellness and support our folks. And I want to leave you with this. This is actually a photo of one of the artworks that won the first place at the Cherry Blossom Art Contest. This is from our upper elementary students. And they created this artwork that says, care, give, hope. And I chose to leave you with that because those are some of the guiding principles in all our current wellness efforts for our staff. We just started this, so we are by no means experts. I would love to hear what other schools are doing, but we are happy where we are. We know that we have chosen to do something important that's having a big impact for our staff. I can tell you that it has had a big impact in my own life. And we encourage others to initiate these or to continue their efforts. And I'd love to hear what others are doing on this area.
There we go. I think we need to wrap up, but Simmons, if you want to, Simmons shared the session evaluation in the chat box, and if folks have questions, we're happy to answer them either here on the Zoom meeting or in a follow-up email. Maria-José, thank you so much. It's so wonderful hearing all of that from your perspective, even though I also lived it. And we really appreciate all of your commitment that you've made with the staff. And Tyecia, thank you for sharing all of your stress solutions. There are more downloadable flyers in English and Spanish available at the link I shared, nonprofitcomfort.com/links. And Simmons, anything you want to share to bring us home?
Nope. If you all could just fill out that evaluation before you sign off, we'd really appreciate it. And again, all of these resources and the recording of this webinar will be available on the PCSB website. And just thank you so much to all of you for sharing your amazing insight, expertise, and experience. Thank you.